welcome to the Special Moves podcast. This is episode 89. My name is Mike Williams. These guys are Jake Klukowski and Liam McKelvey. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, gamers.
We have some breaking news right off the bat this week. Some huge, exciting, earth-shattering games industry news. Orcs Must Die 3 is, it's a timed exclusive on Stadia. I know that a lot of the people listening and watching have been following us for all these months and years, have been following this game as well. Orcs Must Die, of course, is a favourite of the Special Moves podcast.
Yeah.
And, we just wanted to get straight into that, no messing around. Orcs Must Die 3 is a Stadia exclusive for a limited time. What do you think of that, lads?
Can I just add quickly, I have never played an Orcs Must Die game, but I fully
it's all right.
I fully support the message you said before.
Just by association, you're a fan, and you're a mega fan. That's how strong Orcs Must Die's orbit is. I am very happy about this news because locking the game behind Stadia is a bit of a mistake, and timed exclusive means that eventually the Orcs will be unchained and free to roam straight to my Steam account where I can bat a fuck out of them. Yeah. I am well excited about Orcs Must Die 3 to the point where I might even, fuck around and buy Stadia Pro for a month just to play it. Only £8, isn't it?
I mean, that's how big of a deal this is to us, anyway.
And if, by the way, if you ever want to impress anyone, just say that to them. I'll spend £8 on you.
Sure. You're a business, and you want my business. Okay, yeah, cool. I'll partake. That's a very impressive thing to say.
It comes off the back of Stadia Connect, which was an event that none of us knew was going on until I just checked. Which of course is Stadia's yearly games reveal, and the majority of the games.
Yearly? How long has it been around for? 1 year.
Yeah. Well, no, they did another Stadia Connect, didn't they? I don't know, 6 months ago or something. We didn't watch that one either. But with this, they were showing off some of the games that were coming out to Stadia. So I'll just quickly, I'll read the three biggest ones, and you guys just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down on how well you think it's going to work. You'll have to give me a verbal thumbs up or thumbs down for the audio listeners. Okay. AKA just agree or disagree. How bad do you think this will be affected by lag? PUBG.
Thumbs down.
Yeah, thumbs down, innit?
Mm-hmm. Right. Elder Scrolls Online.
I'm going to give that a thumbs up.
Yeah, I'd give that a thumbs up because that's not a...
Okay. And Sekiro.
Thumbs down.
Thumbs
Strong.
down, yeah.
2 thumbs down.
Yeah. Thumbs off. Your hand has been cut off, sliced off because you couldn't parry in time, innit?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's a game that relies on very precise timing, even when you're playing it on a PlayStation, and the game is happening right there. It's only a few feet from your face.
Yeah, I can't really think of a worse fit in terms of the connectivity issues and precision. Maybe playing Guitar Hero 3 on Expert for Flying Flames. Other than that,
if you're trying to break a Guinness World Record on a Guitar Hero. That's the only time.
Do you know when people do challenges, Dark Souls challenges, like Dark Souls 3 on a dance mat? Do you think someone's just going to do Sekiro but on Stadia?
I've done it on Stadia.
I was going to say it won't be long before there's someone who finishes Sekiro no hit run on Stadia using the Donkey Kong bongo drums.
Yeah. Stadia's just another obstacle for these sick fucks to leap over.
To cope with.
Yeah. So that was Stadia Connect. That was right off the back. Boom. Yeah. What an appetizer.
Just driven by the excitement for Orcs Must Die, which again, if you haven't played Orcs Must Die, there's as you'd infer from the presence of Orcs Must Die 3, there's Orcs Must Die 1 and 2, which are both worth getting, I reckon. They're both really a lot of fun. We played it on Steam, and there's good co-op. Like a horde. It's just like a really straightforward horde-based, thing where you kind of set up traps, but you also it's. Do you know what it is? It's a precursor to Fortnite, but I don't mean Fortnite as it is now.
No.
I mean the original.
You're definitely right. Well, back in the day, on the Fortnite Save the World trailer, the comments were Orcs Must Die. It's almost like those tower defense games that people like on mobile and stuff, Kingdom Rush and whatever. If you could control it, how I found it was I was looking for a game similar to the Xbox 360 arcade game Toy Soldiers, like a tower defense game, but where you control somebody. And I found it, and I think it's 79p now, but Orcs Must Die 2 has the inclusion of multiplayer.
Yeah.
And you can import the entire game, the first Orcs Must Die, into Orcs Must Die 2. So
yeah, because they're just levels, aren't they? And basically, and like different weapons and shit like that. And it's just a really there's something really like, sometimes games just feel good to play. As simple as that. And this does. You just kind of you play it for about 5 minutes. You know exactly what it's about, and you're in. It's
really really addictive, and and it's, do you know what as well? It's one of them where it has unlockable weapons, unlockable traps, and you're rated out of 3 stars on how well you did. This is absolutely rife for monetization fuckery, mobile game bullshit, right? But it was done at a time before that, so it's like that real natural feeling, like you unlock the weapons through playing and currency, but you can't pay or win. So Orcs Must Die 3, as long as it doesn't have loads of that in, it would be really cool. And I guess I'll find out. Do you know what? I'll endeavour to get Stadia Pro this week, so I can come back to you guys next week, maybe with a little update. Although I do know it's a busy one next week.
So you're telling me you're willing to go the extra mile of getting this new games platform to play a game that you want to play? That's interesting. How what for you? But that's interesting how Stadia is like framed in your head, isn't it? Like, it's not like, oh, I'll get that so I can play Orcs Must Die. You think, I'll do it. I'll go there. I'll get Stadia.
I will venture into Mordor. I will deliver the ring.
Yeah. That's interesting how that...
Jake's plight.
Yeah. Good luck, Jake. And the fate of the Fellowship is in your hands. We've got a lot to talk about this week. Ghost of Tsushima, which Jake and Liam have played. Jake played it. We kind of hinted last week that... Jake's played it since quite a while. Ooblets, which both of you have played as well.
No, I've not played it.
Just me, but...
Oh, sorry. Jake's played Ooblets and has got some feelings about that, and maybe we'll get onto a couple of other things. We've also got a load of emails to get through. Thanks, everyone, for sending them in. Actually, there was a big pile of emails this week, which is good stuff. Keep them coming. dearspecialmoves@gmail.com.
Was it people demanding an audience of Dr. K?
No, there was one or two of them. Who won that in the end? I can't remember. But someone did.
Yeah, we did.
So
did Dr. K get involved? But yeah, everyone who commented last, shouts out to you guys.
Yeah.
That was very cool.
Yeah, if you didn't listen to last week's podcast, you don't know what we're on about. But yeah, there you go. And there's a few new games to talk about as well.
Yeah.
So where do you want to start, guys? Do you want to go into Ghost of Tsushima? Get that done, because it's probably going to be a big talk in it. So this is the new Sony exclusive. Open world, third person. When you hear Sony exclusive at the moment, kind of intuitively what it's going to involve to a certain degree. It's going to look really nice. It's going to be third person. It's going to be story focused, and it's going to have a lot of shit to do in an open world. This kind of ticks all of them boxes, really. I haven't played it. Liam, let's hear from you first, mate. How far have you got up to?
I don't know how
many hours.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know in terms of how many hours I've put into it. Feels like at least 10, I think. But I reached Act 2 of the game. I don't know how many acts there is in the game, but I'm on Act 2. And I'm a bit mixed on it overall so far, because I like what the game is doing. I really like the setting. I like the characters. I like the notion of you can choose between being like an honourable samurai facing down your enemies with your code of honour, or you could be a sneaky little ninja just like stealthing about, assassinating everyone and breaking your samurai code. I really like that aspect of the game. I quite like the combat. Once you get into a good rhythm, the combat feels really good, where I had a good bit where I was just I was perfect parrying everyone who came at me. People would try and sneak up on me with an axe. I'd turn around, throw a dagger at them and they'd knock them down. When you get into the flow of things, it's really nice and smooth, the combat, especially when you learn to tie all your skills and weapons together. You can just someone will be rushing at you from the side, just throw a smoke bomb at them while you take out the guy in front of you. It's quite smooth, very nice. But I don't like the open world structure is my biggest complaint with the game.
Okay.
Because it feels very Ubisofty in its design. very much like Assassin's Creed Origins and Valhalla, and well, basically every open world game of the last 5 years, pretty much. 'Cause it's like when you open the map, most of it is like covered by like the fog of war, and then so you have to uncover bits of the map. At first, I really thought it was cool how like you would come across like some Mongol bandits in the middle of the road, and you can challenge them to a duel, and you can do like this, and like the screen like goes into a letterbox mode, and you have to like time your attack. You get like an instant death blow on them, and you can follow like birds and foxes to hidden secrets in the world. And at first, that stuff is really cool. It's not so cool when you've done it about 50 times in half an hour. It gets really boring.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's just the way the missions are structured as well. It reminds me a lot of like Ghost Recon Wildlands, I guess. You know, where you're in one area,
right? You
are gathering allies and gathering people to support your cause, and then it ends with you attacking this big objective, and then you do that objective. You have some very nice cinematic cutscenes, some very cool duels against bosses and stuff, and then you go into the next area and you get told you have to gather more allies in preparation for the attack on the next castle, even though you've literally just gathered a bunch of allies and attacked one castle. You've got to do it again for this next island. And,
we've got incidentally a couple of the emails that we've got this week from people to Dear Special Moves. They're basically talking about this, like open world design and how they feel about it after a few years, well, more than a few years of kind of similar things, and even looking at I was saying earlier, like just coming into this chat, like the PlayStation exclusive thing does do that as like Ubisoft gets the thing for doing it. They do the open stuff. They Ubified all their games so that they're all have these similar elements, and that's kind of where it's come from. But you look at Sony exclusives, and they're they do like an open world, and they do like icons on a map, and they do like to so Horizon Zero Dawn, Spider-Man, like they have been here before, where they've kind of and maybe it does come down to the execution of like how exactly it's done and how many side activities there are to do and how many whatever towers there are to climb and stuff. Because like in Horizon, I didn't mind the tower climbing in Horizon because I liked what it was. I liked that it was like a giant robotic dinosaur that was just moving, and there was at least something to it that I was interested in.
I can thankfully there's no towers in Tsushima.
Yeah, that would be completely I mean, I guess they'd find a way. Assassin's Creed always finds a way to get high points in historical eras where maybe there weren't so many high points.
There's lighthouses in Tsushima.
And lighthouses,
but it's not like a challenge. It's not like you have to figure out how to climb it. It's literally two ladders, and then you light the lighthouse.
So the temptation was there, but they managed to to control themselves. Okay, so Jake, how do you feel about it?
Quite different than Liam, but I think it might be because I haven't played an open world game in like a really long time. I'm really thinking like, what is the last one I played? And I didn't play Days Gone, didn't play Far Cry 5, even though normally I would have.
I forgot about that. Days Gone.
Didn't play Days Gone, didn't play Far Cry 5, didn't even play Spider-Man, right? Which is like, completely different style of open world, I guess, but still. I guess you wouldn't count God of War. Do you know what? Actually, I do know what it was. The last open world game I played was Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
And before that, I genuinely think it might have been Horizon Zero Dawn or Ghost Recon Wildlands, whichever one came out later on. I think it was Horizon.
I think Red Dead Redemption and just Rockstar games in general have got they're different enough that where they are, they are open world, but they're not. At the moment, when I'm thinking about open world, I'm thinking about a specific set of things to do. And there's a specific set of features, which Liam has kind of talked about with Ghost of Tsushima. I don't really feel that with Rockstar games, to be completely honest. Even though I do think Red Dead Redemption 2 is really big and bloated, I don't really think of it like as an open world game.
Yeah.
As, you know,
I know what you mean.
I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so but you were pretty excited about it, Jake,
the
while
game,
you were playing it.
Yeah. I really like. I rate it because the things I think that are tired and, you know, not original about it, I have an appetite for because it's been so long. So like, there are proper like Far Cry 4 was another game like this for me where it's like it's paint by numbers, clear out the camp, But because I hadn't done it in that way with my silly little hang glider and bow and arrow, like I was finding a lot of joy in it. Same with Tsushima, right? So like, I really like a lot about it, and I didn't expect to like a lot about it, to be honest. I normally play games as a stupid, sneaky coward, hiding in the grass and slitting people's throats, right? But at the beginning of this, it was all like, you know, oh, your family want you to be dead, brave and everything, and don't be a dickhead and kill people without honor. And then I was like, yeah, granddad, whatever you want. And then, you know, it was up to me to save the island, innit? Because my old uncles got captured by Mongols. So then I snuck up to some guy and killed him, and the game's like, here's a flashback so you can remember. And do you know what? From that point on, I thought, do you know what? I'm going to take on the mantle of not sneaking at all and fighting every single battle properly. So I put all my points into basically becoming the Terminator. And I've found that like, at this point now, I probably should have started it on hard mode because I'm a bit overpowered, I think. I did all the side quests that you could do before I cleared up Act 1. I think I explored every major area and picked up loads of resources. So because of that, I've got... Because you can upgrade like your weapons and your armor and everything like that. Like Far Cry, by collecting like pelts and trees and... you know,
steel and iron.
You don't collect trees. Yeah, steel and iron and whatever. So I feel like I'm really overpowered, and there's parts where you're supposed to sneak, and it's like a soft fail state where you're supposed to be like completely overwhelmed, but I can just take everybody on one-on-one, right? And I've just completely leveled up. I can block the unblockable attacks, and just by killing somebody, I can make everyone around me scared of me. So it's like, I feel like I'm not really playing the intended way, right? Like some missions really do tell you to sneak and don't set the alarm off, but I'm like, no, my uncle in a flashback told me that I shouldn't be a coward. Now I think the whole story is supposed to be, you know, the man you were born to be, the man you were raised to be versus the man that you have to be. I think that's the whole point. He has to adapt because this invasion is too strong for you to take on as a samurai. And I don't get that message because for me, it's just like work harder, train harder, and then I can beat them all. So because of that, I've just become mega hench samurai. But I love I love traveling and fighting back.
If you changed mega to mecha, that's going to be a Saturday morning hit, mate. Mecha
samurai. But I've been playing it incrementally over the last 2 weeks or so. And I've been working pretty hard. So I feel like I've been having like 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day, whatever, just on it. And I feel like in one little sit down session, I can do all the cool stuff. I can have a standoff. I can do some parkour. I can, you know what I mean? Shoot people's heads off with a bow and arrow. But I don't know what it is about the game. It's quite formulaic, yeah. But I think it's just because I'm so invested in, I don't know, the style it's doing it. I don't mind killing the same people 100 times.
It's as simple as that, isn't it? And I think that applies to all of them. And it's like Horizon Zero Dawn. If you like that universe and you like the world that they've created and you like, you know, the story elements and the character, you almost don't. You're blind to the open worldiness of it to a certain degree.
Yeah,
I reckon.
Yeah,
and I think the same goes for people who really like Days Gone and people who really like Assassin's Creed. They kind of you know, they're not thinking about the mechanics and the kind of what am I actually doing. You're thinking about kind of where you are and what the so you're in or you're out.
The graphics are like gorgeous. It's probably the best looking game I've seen.
Twitter is a state of them. It's useless. There's so many screenshots from fucking.
It looks beautiful. I think so. I think playing it in Kurosawa mode's a waste because the colours are phenomenal. And there's like I really like the way the map is, where there's loads of high points just so you can look over vistas. I feel like it was somebody's job to like check every location for photo.
I was gonna say, Liam. You like, you know, like just like you say, when you like climb a high mountain peak, the way the camera pans, you can tell they're like, look at this, we made this game, guys.
So somebody's job was
Mr. Supervisor in the credits.
Yeah, Kodak moment provider, isn't it? But the thing I like about every single battle, even though it does get a bit repetitive, when you're stumbling upon random world bandits anyway, because by the way, the mainline quests, the Golden Path quests, do keep it fairly varied. Like the situations that you end up on are a bit different every time. There's some really cool side quests for that as well. But when you're just having random bandit standoffs, that's a weird word to say. You know, what's that guy called on Twitter? That Sunny Legend guy. I feel like every time I have a battle, I have an opportunity to be him. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I am really playing it like a samurai. Like I'm purposely waiting for them to attack first so I can deflect and slice their head off. Like I'm feeling the fantasy. I'm feeling the samurai fantasy. What can I say? And feeling like, the wandering samurai, but without that reluctance of Geralt in The Witcher. I feel like these are my people. I want to help my people every opportunity I've got, and these bastard Mongols will pay. Do you know what I mean? So it's like the game does it's got a good power thing as well. Like I like how, towards the end of the first act, you unlock the iron hook, which is the grappling hook. And that gives you extra mobility. So then you can take that into Act 2 and there's a lot more opportunity for you to use it. But already my character is like way different than when I started. And the customizable outfits and stuff like that is actually something that I'm into. Basically, the reason that I like the game is because all the things I don't normally care about in a game, for some reason, I don't know what it is, maybe it's me, but I've decided, no, I am going to listen to the story. I am going to be the samurai that I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's the only game I've ever played where I've had the opportunity to be stealthy and properly be stealthy, and I've neglected it. And there's like vanity items and paint jobs for your fucking clothes that I've actually gone, do you know what? Yeah. And I'm having a whale of a time making haikus as well. So because you can wear your haiku in your head, innit? So I don't know what it is, but it's up there for me.
Yeah, like it does do a lot of good stuff, I reckon. It could possibly just be because like this year alone, I played through Assassin's Creed Odyssey and even like older open world games like Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah.
So it could just be I'm like burnt out on open world games, but I do like a lot of what the game does. I like the setting. I like, the story it's trying to tell, and the world is nice to explore, like you said, just because of like all its visual splendor. But it's just, I don't know, it's just like, it's not, like, I'm not saying it's a bad game, not at all. It is a good game, it is very good at what it does. It's just, I think, personally, I might be a bit tired of just seeing that sort of thing.
I think that's something a lot of people have not necessarily been avoiding, but it's something that it's like, it is obviously there, this formula. I think that I've been playing it with, so like after about 5 or 6 hours, I put the expert HUD mode on. So that there's no, like, basically no UI, right? You don't have the health bar or anything. And it is an absolute, like, it looks amazing. I don't even have a TV like you boys, but it looks, like, amazing. And I think, like, it's one of the only open world games properly to take some decent cues from Breath of the Wild in terms of that, keeping people engaged in the map and stuff like that. But I would go as far to say, this is big words for me, to be honest, but how I feel about it, like, amazing. Sometimes you just know when you know, don't you? Like, top 5 of the generation, this would be in it, I reckon. Probably number 5, but it would be there for me, I reckon.
I just have to say, my other major complaint with the game is the camera. My God, the camera is not nice to me during combat. Yeah, like the camera is like clipping through like buildings and stuff. I can never see who's attacking me, especially like because it dynamically zooms in and out depending like how many people are like attacking you. And if you have like a group of like 4 or more who are all trying to like take a swing at you, the camera like zooms out, but it'll be like
into a tree or something.
Yeah, and it'll be like obscured by a building, and you can't see like the guy who's about to do an unblockable like insta kill attack on you.
Yeah.
And I've been having a lot of camera trouble mainly in combat situations.
You can't lock on either, which is normally a great way of getting around that is the ability to lock onto enemies, which you can't do on this. The combat, by the way, which we didn't really cover, apart from saying it's good and the camera being like that, is that for people who aren't aware, it's probably closest to like Arkham, and it really, it's face buttons, enemies kind of. Bit West Side Story. They all wait with their shivs to take it in turns to try and get you, and you batter them accordingly. Apart from the people with bows and arrows,
it's Arkham with a different control scheme.
Yeah,
let's not forget who's made the game, and they have Sucker Punch. Have got that's where they come from. Really, if you played Infamous, it's like it feels a bit Arkham-y. It does feel a bit West Side Story. You've got a superpowered thing where you're kind of battering people in an open world, so there are a lot of parallels, and it is kind of that's part of their kind of DNA, I guess, as a studio, and even the kind of the tropey open world stuff is kind of like, I feel, maybe part of the deal as well. From that, like as in Sony would have known, right? We want Sucker Punch to be doing something else for us, and they would just kind of you'd know what you're getting from them. It's like a game from Bungie, well, it's going to feel good to shoot stuff in the head.
Right?
But it's the same kind of thing. I think Shadow of War is the one that I've got in my head a lot because of what Liam was saying earlier about attacking like gathering your forces and attacking a castle is basically exactly what you do in Shadow of War, which is another open world game with that kind of like.
This is more like a bit.
And then
it's like they've tried to make it like a Greek quest or something, isn't it? Where you need a blacksmith, you need specialists. If you're going to fight this Mongol horde, you need to find an old lady that's really good with a bow and arrow. You need to find an ancient blacksmith who's retired and it's all behind him now, but he'll come back to make the Valorian steel. It's like
a bit of The Witcher, actually.
Yeah, it is a bit like that, isn't it? But preparing for the Battle of Winterfell. Do you know what I mean? Like that. It's very tropey. And the only thing I can't say I'm a fan of is Kurosawa mode. I think it's a bit trash. Like, maybe you need an HDR TV, but to me, it's just a bit of film grain and black and white. But the game really comes alive with the colors. They've done loads of cool stuff to make it so, despite color being so good, it's redundant. Like, there's wind that shows you play, like the trees and the movement of objects indicates where you're supposed to go. And they've had it sort of glowing red barrels aren't just glowing red barrels. So like there's beehives that you use to distract enemies, and obviously without color you can tell a beehive's a beehive because there's bees there. So there's a lot of things that they've done to make color not completely ingrained in the story, but the game looks its best when you're on top of a cliff with an enemy on fire behind you, because you know what I mean? You're sick of being honourable for 2 seconds. You've got a burning body like that scene in Hereditary. You're looking over at this coast where there's Mongol warships.
Any of The Last of Us. A lot of burning bodies in Last of Us.
Yeah,
well, it was when I was playing it anyway.
There's these like warships. You've got the coast. You can see a little fox in the distance. Man, like the game it looks gorgeous, I think, anyway. So
yeah,
I'm a big fan of this one. Like, really, like I was gonna finish The Last of Us. I've had the time now to finish The Last of Us 2, but I haven't because I've been playing this, and I need to be careful because if I keep playing this, then I'll have no momentum left for The Last of Us 2, and that means I'll never finish it.
Yeah, I was looking forward to this much more than The Last of Us anyway, and I kind of I figured I would a few months ago I kind of thought, oh yeah, I'll get Ghost of Tsushima. I probably won't even get Last of Us, and it's kind of worked the other way around, which is.
Well, I thought I was
classic.
well in for The Last of Us. I thought I'd love it. And I was saying Ghost of Tsushima looks quite shit. I'm not really that interested in it, but here I am again.
Yeah. Well, we both look like idiots then, I guess. So I'm going to get it, but I was going to get it this weekend, and I totally forgot that it was coming out. I will pick it up, I think. I will pick it up. The reviews are pretty interesting, kind of like a mix of what both of you guys are saying. There's what is it on Metacritic? It's in the 80s, isn't it?
3 or 4?
Yeah, something like that.
So there's a lot of good words being said about it, but that open world kind of bloat is the key complaint, I guess.
It seems to be 9s or 6s, right? Like it's not like loads of 8s to make the 80. It's lots of 9s and then a few 6s or 7s.
Yeah.
But so people who really don't believe in what they're doing, like they're not letting themselves be distracted that it is an open world game. Are really kind of going in on it for that sort of reason.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do an email then. I did say that we had some emails that are on this. Sorry that basically the whole podcast is going to be about open world, but there you go. Everyone's played open world games. Everyone knows about them. So this one is from Michael in Michigan, who says, "Dear Special Moves, I've played video games most of my life. I've always enjoyed them, and I've always enjoyed stealth games. I loved the Dishonored games, Thief, Batman Arkham, the stealth sequences of Shadow of Mordor even at the time. But for some reason, I have never played an Assassin's Creed game. Last year, I was interested in looking into the Assassin's Creed games to dip my toe in, but I soon realized I had no idea where to start. Usually in games, you need to play one game to understand you need to play game 1 to understand game 2 and so on. But how am I supposed to know if Rogue, Unity, Syndicate, India or China come first? Do they tie together? After merely looking up the list of Assassin's Creed games, I felt burnt out by the Assassin's Creed franchise. I assume Valhalla, which, if you're unaware, is the new Assassin's Creed game that's coming out, will be a standalone story, since I have no idea how things could tie into Italian Renaissance assassinations other than forearm knives. I love Vikings, so I was already on board on some level, but watching the IGN gameplay and interviews, it looks like they took a Viking skin and stuffed it full of every game mechanic known to man. You have side quests to bolster your army for a castle assault, which he mentions as a PTSD from Shadow of War. You have rap battles, drinking competitions, tattoo collection, singing on your ship as you row, dual-wielding combat that looks like The Witcher 3. It just looks like too much. It seems fundamentally different from the so much to do of Breath of the Wild, which was a world packed to the brim with things to do, but that never felt overwhelming or boring. Anyway, love the show. Keep health and safe in these corona times, Michael." There we go. Thanks, Michael.
Nice one, Michael.
Yeah. So you it's a good point, isn't it? Like, if you're going into touched it, like, where the fuck did you start? Like, the whole franchise is built on the idea that everyone's playing it from the first one.
Yeah, I suppose, if I remember right, the only Assassin's Creed games that really have like a through line of story are 1, 2, Brotherhood, Revelations, and then 3, because that's like Desmond's story or whatever. And then like 4 onwards might as well just be like their own disconnected things. I think Origins and Odyssey share some of the same characters in the in the present day storyline, but other than that, I think they're all pretty much like they might as well be standalone at that point.
I watched. I went to Montreal to see the Assassin's Creed Symphony Orchestra, which was a musical rendition of the Assassin's Creed timeline for every game in chronological order.
That's nice.
I still had no fucking clue. And it was being literally presented to me on screen, saying, this happened, then this happened, and it was music, and the music would lull over like mega monologues, of Desmond on some beach, like, "I trusted you, brother." I still didn't have a clue. By the end of it, I was just like, that was a very weird, I should be an expert, right? But it confused me more.
The overarching story in Assassin's Creed is kind of it's pretty shambolic. I think it's really, it doesn't they just, it's too big. Like this bloated kind of, they've got books that finish off the story in the games. And I remember I think it was Black Flag. However that ended, I have no idea how that ended. I can't remember. And it ended, and I was like, "Oh, that's okay. I wonder what happened." So I did a little Google, what happened to the characters, and on the Wikipedia entry, it's like, "Oh, he died. The main character died. Someone broke into his house and murdered him. He died." Well, what? So I've just played the game for like 40 hours, and I've just read the fucking Wikipedia entry that told me that character just dies when his house gets broken into. It's like Alien 3. It's like just they died off screen. It's like
I remember when I played through Odyssey. There was like one, I can't remember. It was like a plot line with like an ancient civilization, and I was like, "Who's this? What's going on here?" And then apparently they explained it in a spin-off novel and a spin-off comic book.
Exactly. This is exactly what I mean. This is exactly what I mean.
You know, you're either all in or you're not in at all.
Yeah, but there's a way to do it, right? And there's like, if you look, I can't think of any other better, more recent example. But if you look at Dead Space, okay, so Dead Space's game and the story is entirely self-contained, and then they put this other shit out. They put like animes out, and they put like comic books out and whatever.
Shouts out the anime.
And it's really bad. There's two of them. I like them.
I've seen them both.
They're so bad. But they kind of just exist in the universe, and they kind of explain some details and stuff. But
what?
I lost you there, Liam. Did you say something?
Oh, I was just saying I've seen both the anime of Dead Space, and yes, I agree. They're not very good, but kind of interesting.
Yeah, exactly. But it doesn't feel like if you want to find out what happened to the characters, you have to watch the anime, which is the mistake that they make in Assassin's Creed. They make the expanded universe stuff like required reading. Like if you want to know what happened to, you can get all the information you want out of the Dead Space universe.
Yeah.
In the Dead Space games. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think where to start on a story wise,
don't worry about it,
Michael. Either don't worry about it or get ready for a lot. But and this is quite a British, likeness. And if you don't really live here, you might not understand what I'm about to say next year. But Assassin's Creed is basically like the Weatherspoons of games, innit? It's all these different things crammed into this one overpriced menu that's just reheated. Like if you want an Italian, you can. It's like that. Like, do you know what I'm saying? It's just a mishmash of everything. Like you say, everything's just stuffed in for the sake of it on some sort of budget level. I feel like it's not quite your choices matter. It's not quite rip-roaring, quick-rolling combat. It's not quite cutting-edge open-world exploration. It's not quite memorable characters. It's just like,
but it is a big restaurant pub with lots of cheap beer.
And if you do want a bit of hack and slash, a bit of that for a very cheap price because it's just one game rather than buying, if you want an open world, buy The Witcher 3. Oh, if you want a great characters, play Divinity Original Sin 2. Oh, you want rolling around on the floor? Mate, have you heard of Bloodborne? Rather than spend 250 quid on the real things, go into 5 restaurants to say, oh, you've never had sushi. Do you know what I mean? Just go Weatherspoons, innit? That's what it's like. And then Weatherspoons has got its own like following that will not hear it. If you say Weatherspoons is shit, they'll call you a prick. But it's like that with Assassin's Creed, innit? And it's a staple. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay.
That's not okay me. Don't fucking okay me. Yeah.
I okay you all the time, mate.
That's what it is. And so what I'm trying to say is like, you go there, and if you expect not much, you'll be happy. Yeah. So when you get the Viking game, don't be expecting it to be anything more than £5 beer and burger. And if you don't, you'll be happy.
What about what he was saying about, the kind of seeing the same features and the same kind of like, he says exactly the same thing. Bolster your army for a castle assault. And he said that's PTSD of Shadow of War. We've just been talking about Ghost of Tsushima, which is another game which has exactly the same kind of system.
Well, that's what made me laugh, right? Remember last week we were talking about this? Ghost of Tsushima starts off with a battle on a beach that's like a lot more active than this. At least the NPCs fight each other. In Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it's like play fighting.
Yeah.
I played Origins recently, and it starts with, not Origins, I played Odyssey recently, and it starts with this really annoying battle where all enemies are just like fisticuffs with other enemies until you go over to them and you give them the fucking Sparta kick.
It's like Lego Lord of the Rings, isn't it? It's like it's just
rabble. But when it comes to flipping Tsushima, like you could sit back and let your NPC do all the killing for you, and that's what at least they've got that on point. But they don't make a big deal out of that. Whereas Assassin's Creed, they had a whole trailer for Origins, like take part in epic battles.
Yeah. It definitely is hitting like a kind of ubiquity. I don't mean that as a Ubisoft thing. There's just ubiquity of features, and it's just in the same way that
a Weatherspoons menu is.
Like remember with COD Modern Warfare, right? that happens. COD Modern Warfare comes out, and then there's like all of a sudden, all multiplayer games have got like this progression system where you can like unlock weapons and unlock kit and like pick your character, like pick your, create your online like shooter loadout in a way that is totally unique to you, and you progress and you can prestige. Like when that happens, right, then all these other fucking games are like, let's do that. Let's have this like COD progression thing. It just revolutionizes like console multiplayer.
Was it Fortnite? Who did the season pass?
The first ever season pass. It's been around for a while because it used to be like
it's older than you think, isn't it?
Yeah. Fortnite did the free one, like the battle pass, free and a paid version.
But with COD, it's like it's just the mechanics, it's the gameplay, it's even I would even say it's the same thing as BioShock and stuff, where they had multiplayer modes in there. All the fucking games had multiplayer, even though they were single player story driven. Things.
Yeah. Just as a box to tick, like in COD, you've got like you can unlock a little banner next to your name, but not to be confused with your emblem, just the banner. And you can unlock a better banner. You can even buy a banner pack themed like Kawaii Harajuku girl for 79p.
And then all the other games kind of just take these ideas off each other, and definitely with open world stuff. It is maybe perhaps that's why I haven't picked up Tsushima, because I am more like Liam, like a lot more like Liam, where I have played Far Cry 5, I have played Assassin's Creed Odyssey all the way through. I have played Shadow of War. I guess you played that, Jake, but Horizon Zero Dawn, Spider-Man. I didn't play Days Gone, but that was the same thing where I just can't be bothered going through the open worldiness of it. And this Ghost of Tsushima is really appealing, and I do I love samurai movies, and I want to kind of experience that, but kind of I just don't have this at the moment. I don't feel like I need to go out and buy that for some reason, and I think it's because I'm hearing the kind of thing that Liam is saying, which is exactly the kind of thing.
Exactly. And if you you're right. If you let your stomach rumble for it in it, and you haven't played one for a while, then you'll go in and you might feel like me.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go in like Liam, who's just off the back of loads of them, I would probably be the same as Liam as well, innit? It's just like, give yourself some distance, innit? But if after this I've still got, if I feel like I could do another one, I would get Days Gone based on all the emails that we've got about it and what Liam said about it. I feel like it might be time for me to get that just quickly before we get
St. John in your life.
Yeah, Deacon St. John.
Tsushima and Days Gone are actually very, very similar in a lot of ways. Yeah. Especially like side quests, especially where they track over the entire game rather than being just like little individual stories that you do and you'll never hear from that NPC again.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
Okay then. So let's do. Thanks for the email, Michael. That was a good one. Mm-hmm. This one's from Edward in Somerset, who says, "Dear Special, the rather stylish and cinematic reveal for Far Cry 6 has certainly piqued my interest, though not without reservations, namely the patented Ubisoft box tickathon sandbox formula and the improbability, this is the key bit, and the improbability of real narrative agency. The story will most likely revolve around an eccentric cast of freedom-loving revolutionaries overthrowing the evil yet charismatic dictator Anton Costello with the player's Rambo-esque Army of One style. Standard fare. What, dare I suggest, if we, the player, were given the option at some crucial juncture in the story to choose which side we fought for? What if we were presented with the opportunity to throw our lot in with El Presidente to crush the American-backed rebels and restore order to Yara? A tight 15-hour experience with the option of a second, narratively different playthrough also seems far more appealing than the usual 30-hour campaign, weighed down, as it inevitably always is, with copy and pasted side content. It's an unlikely proposition, I admit, but one I would certainly welcome. All the best, Edward in Somerset. That's a good idea. That's a good email, Edward. Thanks. Well written.
Yeah.
That's a good point, and I would always agree that a good 15 hours is fucking miles better than a decent 30 hours. I would always, if I reckon, if Tsushima was a 12 to 15 hour single player kind of linear thing that was maybe even a bit more like God of War, where there's kind of an openness to it, but it's not really an open world game.
God of War was 10 hours longer. A lot of people would have had a lot more negative things to say about it, for sure.
Yeah.
But the idea of just having this A/B binary choice thing, but then that could affect like quests. So you could be building up some rapport with your freedom junkie, hang glider obsessed graffiti punk friend with grills, and then maybe at that point in the story you could side with the enemy and then betray them, and that could end up being the end of that quest line. The idea of that is like infinitely more interesting than
they do mess around. Far Cry does mess around. They do like have that, like, it was at Far Cry 4, the one I remember especially, where if you sit right at the beginning, he says stay there, and if you stay there for 20 minutes instead of breaking out, then the game ends. And they did the same kind of thing with Far Cry 5, I think, or at least a similar idea,
where it can be
like at the beginning you can just walk away. At the beginning of Far Cry 5, instead of trying to arrest Joseph Seed, you can just turn around and go.
Yeah. So they're not, they don't mind having a laugh with it, but, could they take that, like Edward suggested, a step further and really give you a meaningful decision? And maybe it doesn't have to be like a Mass Effect kind of like, are you going to do that or are you going to do that? Maybe it could be, maybe you discover that there's an alternative path by just, trying to do something different. Does the game have to tell you can do this or you can do that? What if the game is like, do this, and you don't want to do it?
Yeah, I know.
What happens then?
I know, like Far Cry 4. You were always working with the rebels in Far Cry 4, but it did give you a choice between, you could either support like the two different leaders of Far Cry 4, who like one was like progressive, wanted to like push the the country forward, like modernize it, whereas the other leader wanted to like keep it traditional and focus on like staying true to their cultural heritage. But really that was the only decision, and they both ended up being kind of shitheads anyway. So like in the end you didn't really have much agency because they both turned out horrible people anyway. I think Far Cry 2 actually tried it as well, the one where you play as like a mercenary.
Yeah.
And that had two different factions that you could choose who to work for. But then again, I think it was like around the midpoint of the game, it gave you no choice and you had to betray whatever faction you were working for because they tried to kill you, so you have to go work for the other faction. And again, it just like it takes the agency out of it all. So like, it would be cool if Far Cry 6 gave you a choice to go work with Gus Fring himself, but I don't know. Like, would they do it? I don't think they would. I think loads of these game creators like get scared about leaving good content missable, which is like the complete opposite of most good games, right? Like, they would hate to do two quests that are A or B because that means some of our players aren't getting the prime experience, and like that's why so many choices always end up in the same, like funneled back down to the same major set piece, because it's like they don't want any hours wasted of freaking quest design or whatever. Whereas like there's whole parts of games like, I don't know, again like Bloodborne, there's whole areas that you will easily miss. Like in Dark Souls 3, like the main bad guy everybody talks about, the main dude everyone talks about, the Nameless King, like it lives in a secret area that's quite awkward to get to. The story behind the Nameless King might be one of the most crucial parts of the entire Dark Souls lore, and is like completely hidden away, and they're not afraid to do that. And I think that's something Ubisoft are afraid to do, like create some killer content that could be missed, whether it is like quest design or like a cool feature or a cool weapon. They want everyone to have that weapon. They want everybody to witness the same thing.
But maybe the way what you've just said there is probably the key thing. Like, they probably think of it as content, whereas I fucking doubt that anyone in From Software ever describes anything in their game as content. They think of it as story, lore. They think of it as something greater towards it's contributing to the universe and the story and the lore that they're trying to tell. Whereas in Ubisoft, it's like, well, we need more of this. And this is what I was saying earlier. It's unfair to just say Ubisoft, I think, anymore, because the fucking Sony open world games are the same, as we've just discussed. The Days Gone, Horizon Zero Dawn before that, and Ghost of Tsushima, they do the same type of thing. And it's just because they can apply a level of polish to it then that gives it like a really good quality that makes it feel, and it looks amazing and it sounds amazing, good story, good acting and stuff. It makes it feel good to play, but it is the same key ingredients in there, so it's the same, same as Ubisoft in that way. But they, it's that word content, isn't it? Like it said, that excellent content that they don't want you to miss out on. Thinking of it like that is the problem.
You can never have meaningful choices in games unless the people making the game are gonna get rid of this reluctance to keep it hidden. I think that's why everything ends up in this same path at the end of the day, because it's very brave to change the game and have people have completely different experiences, whereas some game designers, I guess, just don't care. But I think that's ultimately what it is. Everybody wants to see whatever the fucking El Presidente's name is again. I can't remember, but Gus Fring from Breaking Bad, his story is going to be seen to the end by all of the players that sit through the journey, and it'll be the same story probably, no matter what you do.
There could be, but it isn't a new idea even to look at Fable, which is from fucking 2004 or whatever.
Listen,
and it's like, and it's so simple. It's all games are built around conflict like this. Anyway, there has to be some fighting in these games. Discussed recently with Naughty Dog and stuff, but here we are. Anyway, there's a battle, okay, and in Fable it says, do you want to help the bandits and go and rob this farm with the bandits, or the exact same farm and the exact same level, do you want to protect the farm from the bandits on the side of the guards? And it's so straightforward, but it gives you just two different things to do. You're running in with the bandits and you're trying to rob stuff and get it out of there, or you're trying to fend off waves and waves of bandits with the guards. So it gives you the same environment and the same characters and the same level, but in just a flipped perspective. And it's so straightforward. I just can't believe that.
Can you imagine a game doing that nowadays? Every time you do an evil act, you'll gain evil points. So enough evil points, you'll get an evil skill tree just for your evil character.
Make sure you've got the evil pass to make sure you get fucking double evil points.
Everything is going to be a skill tree, and you have to do evil to branch down the evil path. But I hope more than anything on this planet that by you mentioning Fable, you've somehow conjured up the sort of the fibers of the universe, and you've made it happen. If Thursday has a Fable announcement now, I'm putting it down to your rekindling
endless Fable.
Somewhere Molyneux awakens.
Yeah. From
Okay.
a tomb. He's not dead, he just sleeps someone. Yeah. So.
Okay, those are a couple of really good emails. We do have a couple more, but we've just got too much to go through, I think. So if you want to send us in an email, we'll have a read and we'll have a chat about it. It's dearspecialmoves@gmail.com. Thanks everyone who sent them in this week. We really appreciate it. And they all get read, so send them in and we'll have a read. Okay, before we do the new games then, there's something I want to talk about really quickly, but should we do Ooblets as well, Jake, quickly if you want?
Yes, if you'd like. Ooblets. Ooblets is this game that's been in the works for like 3 or 4 years or whatnot. Announced it feels like years ago now. Small team making it. Looks, at the surface a bit like Pokemon, Animal Crossing, Stardew Valley, that sort of thing. Art style is very memorable if you would have seen it. Something that a lot of developers have been tacking themselves onto recently, that Donut County, low poly, no texture-esque, flat color vibe. But Ooblets has been in the works for a while. Yeah, it's been delayed, and it's just finally released into early access. We missed it on the game releases last week because I guess it's still not out. It's still in early access, right? But I've been waiting for this for a while. I remember bringing this up, Pretty Good Gaming podcast, 2018 maybe. And I finally had the chance to play it. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to jump straight in. Ooblets is like what it does appear to be on the surface. It is like a bit like Stardew Valley and a bit like Pokemon and a bit like Animal Crossing. You're some kid, you make your character and you go to the island of Oob. It's a bit the Wicker Man at the beginning. You land on and it's full of hipsters. It's just an island full of hipsters and they're like, hey man, what's up? Oh, whoa, you've not got an Ooblet? And then you're like, what's an Ooblet? You pick a starter Ooblet, just the same as you'd pick a starter Pokemon. And then you go about collecting Ooblets. There's not many of them like Pokemon. There's like 40, I think. But there's different varieties of them. Like you can get a shiny Ooblet, so when you factor all that in, you've got nearly 150. I think it's about 120, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, you get a plot of land and you do a bit of farming and harvesting. You can plant Ooblets and they grow out of the ground and whatever. And they might be shiny, you see, that's what I'm talking about. When the game was first shown off, I think there was like a Pokemon-style battle system that was announced with the game, which is then slowly over time changed. And it's kind of landed on this weird combat system that is like a dance-off, but it uses Slay the Spire mechanics. You draw from a deck of cards, and each card is a move that you will do, and each move will give you points. So how do you win a dance battle? How does a virtual dance battle happen? Well, it's the first dance team to get to 20 points, and each move you do will give you more points, but you can do things to like bring their points down and stuff like that. So it's just a battle for numbers. So you might spend your card might be make your next turn even better, a big dance move, and then your next turn you do a big dance move and you'll get 6 points out of the whole 20. The idea sounds pretty, like, I don't know, there's a lot of complication.
Are you enjoying it?
Do you know what? I'm 50-50 on it. I like the game and I like the mechanics, but I don't like the writing. I just don't like how they talk to me.
Right.
There's this weird air about it. And I think that's just because I'm a miserable fat dad who's nearly 30. But if I was a Gen Z 23-year-old with dungarees, I'd probably be well into it. A couple of my friends are Gen Zers with dungarees, and they seem to really like it. But they're extremely cool, and I'm, I just talk about Dark Souls all day. The game has a lot of humor, but a lot of it just, don't make a joke at me unless it's going to be good. That's why I'm miserable. I laughed out loud at one point.
So there's things coming up on the screen, and you're going, "Don't waste my time."
Yeah, exactly.
There's I want to get on jokes and stuff. You just
don't patronise me. Don't call coffee bean juice. Okay. All right. Do you know who doesn't do that? Tom Nook. You get me? Yeah. He's a man that knows stuff. The humor is completely, personal. Like you might find it a right hoot. I laughed out loud at one bit. There was this lovely old woman, and she's telling, feel free to dig in the ground, but don't dig any deeper than 6 feet. And the idea of this woman on this weird hipster island full of, jovial plant-like creatures having stacks of bodies of her enemies under her farm was funny to me. You know what I mean? Like, there's some weird jokes getting told, but for the most part, it's a very twee affair. It's a bit Tumblr-esque, the writing. But the general gist of it, the gameplay loop is, farming and dancing. Two of my favourite things in real life, as you can tell. You get Ooblets. But the Ooblets design, so obviously whenever you're doing a game where you're collecting creatures, Pokemon and whatever, you got to bring the goods, right? Or else, remember Temtem that came out a couple of months ago? Yeah, the fact that you can remember it is a good thing. Cause
I bought it.
Yeah.
And never been back to it since.
Right. Well, with Ooblets, I've got to say, the creature design is fantastic. Because it's all kind of plant-based, they've got a good rule there. So everything that they make has to be somewhat akin to flora of the natural world. Acorn-looking ones, leaf-looking ones, lily-pad-looking ones. It's not like go mad and have a key or a sword or an ice cream like some of the last Pokemon. Let's be sensible, exactly. So, I like the lore of trying to keep it all plant-based. I think that's a good rule to work off. So
I'm choosing to hear that as law LAW. I love if
there's no illegal ubage over here. Yeah, strictly legal ubage.
Yeah.
So no, I've got I've got to say, like, I love the creatures. I love the Ooblets themselves.
Yeah.
They're the star of the show. The game's called Ooblets. You know what I mean? Temtem was about Temtem, but no one gave a shit. Everyone just wanted to play online with each other. Ooblets isn't that. You know, Ooblets is a very polished example of a Harvest Moon clone meets Pokemon. It's like, you know, when you get a very, very rare fan fiction, it's actually good. It's like that, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's somehow managing to do its own thing. It's been in development for so long, but I don't feel like it's really coming out of any excuses. But at the same time, I don't think people are very disappointed about it either. It seems to have good reputation online. And at the end of the day, my problems with the writing are not really reflective of the game at all, right? You could play the exact same game. Like, if the battle system was shit, the battle system was shit. But it's not. Mm-hmm. The only problem I've got is I just don't like the jokes. But someone listening to this might, you know, rightly say that I'm just very miserable. So,
might be a taste.
If you are a bit of a Stardew Valley fan, or even an Animal Crossing fan, you know, and you want to, you know, get off that stuff because it's crack, maybe try Ooblets. That's like the nicotine patch to get you off Animal Crossing. I would say that's Ooblets' best function. It's like a lighter, not as addictive source.
Right. Well, I'm sure that's exactly the kind of description that the devs were dreaming of when they started creating this game. We want to be the nicotine patch of
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing. Right. So that's Ooblets. How can you play it now, Jake? If you want to play it,
it's on Epic Game Store in early access. It's also on Xbox, which I didn't know, because I feel like this game I would have enjoyed it more on console, to be honest with you. So, okay. If it's up to me, I would say get it on the old console. You know what I mean?
Let's have a quick chat about No Man's Sky Desolation, which looks pretty cool. It's just another free update for No Man's Sky, which basically adds a Dead Space element to it, which is kind of derelict freighters, and you know, they've very consciously gone after the Dead Space thing. In the reveal trailer, they're playing it in third person. The camera's kind of over the shoulder, slow walking. You know, they've got a what's the gun called in No Man's Sky? It's like a mining tool.
Mining tool. Yeah.
So they've got one of them but like one-handed, and it kind of looks a bit like the cutter weapon from Dead Space 1. Yeah, iconic weapon. So they're kind of doing it on purpose, and I love it. I think it looks cool. I haven't played it, but it's just, if you're a No Man's Sky, you know, fan of the past and just kind of sitting on a copy of the game and reinstalling it every now and then when there's an update, like me and Jake.
Or a Game Pass owner.
Or a Game Pass owner, yeah, you can play it on Xbox Game Pass now. Also on the PC.
On PC as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's cool. So it's basically it adds a load of kind of sci-fi horror elements, story elements, abandoned freighters and stuff. No, they have obviously they've had freighters in the game for a long time, but this is like a procedurally generated horror thing.
Yeah.
Inside every one of them, and they kind of claim that every single freighter inside is going to be different, with a different story attached to it. And there's plenty of exploration you can do. They showed off some co-op exploration, which is pretty cool. And it does seem kind of, you know, a bit more combat focused than...
Yeah, just general combat improvements when, you know, we're kind of stuck onto the side of this update as is, which is something that I think has been chipped away at previously, but even more refinement would be good, because the combat is obviously that wasn't at all the intention of the original game. So
quite the opposite, wasn't it? He was always saying, Sean Murray was always saying, you know, he doesn't want to make a sci-fi game about war and all that kind of stuff, which kind of, you know, to a certain extent, it's slowly becoming that kind of thing now, isn't it? With all these, you know, you've got different fleets of freighters, and as soon as you've got like trading and a reason to be fighting, you know, I guess kind of war comes with it, I suppose.
Space pirates.
The horror idea is pretty cool. I didn't see this coming at all. This is a nice surprise.
No, it's just another one of them updates that just catches you out of nowhere and adds not one feature but secretly 8, and there might be like one of those features you'll notice straight away if you log into the game. Do you know what I mean? You'll log into your or whatever planet or base, or if you've got a freighter, you look onto your freighter and you look around and you go, oh, that's new, which I like a lot.
Yeah, totally. I'll just read out the kind of headlines of the headline features that they've had. Okay, so derelict freighters, procedurally generated interiors, atmospheric danger, which is, I guess that's that it definitely is true. Like it looks different to No Man's Sky. It doesn't immediately look like No Man's Sky when you look at the gameplay. There's a nice little trailer that goes with it. Deadly infestations, so that's what we're talking about with the combat and stuff. There's just a lot of enemies scurrying around and they need to be shot. That's what you do. Procedural stories, and then there's things like improved bloom effects. It sounds lame. It sounds like if you're not interested in Digital Foundry, why would you give a shit about improved bloom effects? But it looks notably nicer because the lighting is the thing that you notice. If a game's got good lighting, that you're going to notice it. And so there's like added lens flare and shit like that, and lighting effects. And do you know what I mean? Have you seen the game? The kind of, it does look darker, and there's a clear difference in like the lighting approach that they've gone for, which makes all the difference. It looks cool. So that's No Man's Sky Desolation. That's another free update.
Which is out already.
Yeah, out right now. That's how they do it, innit? Usually they kind of do just drop them out of nowhere.
What's this now? Year 3? 4? 2016 it came out, did it?
Yeah,
was it?
4 it will. Yeah, 4 it will be.
Was it? I can't remember.
I think it was, Year 4 of updates. Let's have a look.
It's crazy. It doesn't. Yeah, it's crazy. They're still chucking stuff in. At this point, they're having fun.
Yeah, I think it was like August 2016 it came out.
Yeah, it was 9th of August 2016.
That's crazy. Okay, so shall we do the new games before we finish then?
Yeah.
Starting off on the Tuesday, the 21st of July, is Rock of Ages 3 Make and Break, which is out on PC, Nintendo Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and Stadia. What's this, Jake?
Rock of Ages is like a tower defense game where you're pitting yourself against another person, AI or actual person, who is also building their defenses. But not only are they doing that, they are then controlling gigantic to smash through your defenses and basically F you up. Think they have to kill your king or whatever, basically. But basically, it's just 2 tracks, and then you set battlements up, and then you roll down your hill past your own battlements into the enemies. And it's a bit of a cult game.
Okay.
That seems to do very well on YouTube. Like all the YouTube heavy hitters from Markiplier, PewDiePie, Jacksepticeye, them like they made. It's like one of them Amnesia style ones where like it seems to be some sort of rite of passage for a lot of variety YouTubers. I haven't played a single one of these. I'm helping with the launch of this, so I've had it on my Nintendo Switch for about a week, but I haven't played it. I probably should have done that before I spoke about it, so I could have told you a bit more. But that's Rock of Ages. It's out on Tuesday.
Cool. Carry On is out on the 23rd, which will be the Thursday. That's out on PC, Nintendo Switch, and Xbox One.
Yep.
It's a horror game that kind of looks. We talked about this very recently. It was announced very recently, wasn't it?
Yeah. So
Devolver.
It is Devolver. They showed it off at their Devolver Direct a couple of weeks ago.
And it's like a grotesque looking 16-bit SNES game from hell. Mm-hmm. It's like purposely disgusting looking. Yeah, you play some sort of mutant blobby creature that goes around.
It's basically you play as the Thing.
Yeah, essentially, and it looks like looks disgusting. They've really made it look like
go for the visceral, proper body horror vibes from the trailer.
Yeah.
And Crisis Remastered is out the same day on Nintendo Switch. I don't think I'll be getting this. I said this before. I'm not really enjoyed playing first-person games on the Switch so far, especially not a game like Crisis, which
What day does it come out?
Sorry,
what day does it come out again?
The same day as Carrion,
23rd
on the 23rd.
Oh, people, Digital Foundry YouTube subscribers will be hitting F5 as fast as they can.
Yeah. Well, it's weird 'cause it was originally meant to come out on everything, PC, Xbox One, PS4, and Switch, but the console and PC versions got delayed because there was some leaked trailer footage, I think, of the PC version, and it had like quite a lot of bugs and like really weird looking graphical glitches. So I think they delayed those versions to take time to actually like improve them and get them looking right. But apparently the Switch version was fine, and they're just gonna put that one out. The thing is, and I would have bought it, except I looked on the eShop and it's 28 quid, which I already own Crisis on Steam.
Yeah,
so
the same old story.
Yeah, it's like, no thank you, not for 28 quid.
Old story.
It's a lot.
It's always
of
the same. Yeah. I can't see myself enjoying it. I played Crisis about 2 years ago on the PC, and I found it like pretty difficult, if I remember. Or not, I didn't just, like a single player first person shooter. I just kind of breeze through them generally, and I'm not thinking about what I'm doing. But I remember in Crisis, I was like, fuck, I had to really think about what I'm going to do to get from A to B, because there's like a helicopter shooting at me, and you have to think about what abilities you've got and how you're going to use them to get from A to B. So even though you're like a powerful super soldier type character, you are pretty fragile, I thought anyway. Mm-hmm. So I can't imagine how difficult that would be to play on the go. It's not anything I'd want to try out. But anyway, that's happening. And then Tannenberg is happening on the 24th. That's Tannenberg, the kind of PC Master Race type first-person shooter multiplayer thing, which has been on the PC for ages. That's coming out to console, PS4 and Xbox One. That's on the 24th. Any of you guys got any experience with Tannenberg?
I have never heard of this game.
Not powerful enough.
It's one of them games that just pops up on Steam a lot, I reckon, like on sale and shit like that. I think so. It's kind of like an early access title type thing, there you go. We haven't got a clue what that is. So those are the games.
Can we talk about the other thing, maybe, just to give everyone a bit of a heads up?
What was the other thing?
Microsoft on the 23rd, which is on Thursday, they do their big showcase. It's an hour long. Like when this is like the book club, we're letting you know, because this is probably what we're going to talk about next week, innit? So it's worth a look at. And I just want to say, even if you don't own an Xbox, it's well worth watching this, because historically this has been a showcase for third-party games more than anything. We know that there's not going to be any Series X exclusives because they don't have any. Mm-hmm. If you're a PC owner, it's probably going to be the best for you. Last time they revealed Elden Ring. The time before it was Sekiro and Cyberpunk. These are big games. They announce big games there normally that are multi-platform. So it doesn't matter what platform you're on. I really recommend watching it. They've already said it's going to be an hour of just games. Nothing else. No price. No look at our gigaflops or whatever the fuck it is.
No, like,
it's just
Zoom calls of people just chatting.
Yeah, exactly. It's just an hour of games. And that's at 5 o'clock UK time on Thursday. And I think it's the last big event, really. The only other thing is there's a rumor that there's going to be a Nintendo Direct this week. But if that's not true, then that's the last big proper E3 event, I think, really. And, because Jeff Keighley's pissing about. Did you see that this week? His hands-on with the PS5 controller. Jeff Keighley did a 45-minute hands-on with the PS5 controller, Mike. The controller.
What? Just showing it off, like...
Yeah, don't piss me off, Jeff. Just picking it up and doing this. You know what I mean? Going over the features. Whatever.
So I'm just picturing like a QVC type thing, and I'm picturing, are you telling me that this L1 button is the most responsive shoulder button that we have ever developed? I'm imagining that kind of like...
Can you imagine how many times they said the word haptic feedback, yeah?
So haptic.
I can't.
I'm getting
I
all
can't
haptic right now.
Exactly. So there's Halo Infinite, aren't they? Finally,
Right.
there's going to be gameplay that Halo Destiny like, but don't call it that.
Halo Infinite. It's like a fucking BT broadband package, isn't it? It's like BT Halo Infinite.
Yeah,
It can be yours for $39.99.
It sounds like a very low calorie ice cream.
Yeah, Halo because it's good for you, isn't it? That's it.
And then Infinite is because that's how many tubs you can have with still being on Weight Watchers.
Available only in Lidl.
Yeah, so that I wanted to bring that up, even though it's not a game. It's probably the biggest event of the summer, I think.
Thanks, Jake, for that extra info. We'll probably be talking about that next week. We're going to be doing a bonus podcast for the patrons as well. So if you listen or watch that, that'll be available at some point this week. So look out for that. And send us emails to dearspecialmoves@gmail.com if you want us to talk about anything. Good.
Rest in peace, Mixer.
Oh, yeah. Bye.